Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. And as always, we give peace and salutations to the elect. And in today's lesson, we're going to deal with divination, soothsaying, sorcery, and witchcraft done by the elites of Esau, Edom, taken from ancient, customs of, the Babel, going back to the Tower of Babel, the Canaanites, the Egyptians, even the Neo-Assyrian Babylonian Empire, they all tapped into this particular left-hand magic. Even the Greeks and the Romans tapped into it, and ultimately those very same things are going on here today. All right, now when you deal with this project Looking Glass, I have a documentary here, or an interview, or a series of interviews done from the mouth of whistleblowers, and we're going to tap into some of it. I would love to play the whole thing, but I'm going to just play a certain portion of this interview, because when you go into the Holy Scriptures and you deal with the term divination or a diviner, we know when you go to the book of Numbers, you read of Balaam, the son of Beor, which ultimately was a soothsayer, who was hired to put curses on the children of Israel to stop them from the progress they were having as they were going through the wilderness, entering into the Holy Land. And when you deal with this term soothsayer, basically Balaam was a priest on the left-hand side, and today you have priests on the left-hand side entering into these ancient rites that have been passed down through the ages, and ultimately the possessors of this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, have been given the ability to tap into particular things via their blessing. All right, now when you deal with a soothsayer, it says Balaam, the son of Beor, the soothsayer. You look up this word soothsayer. The Hebrew word is kasam, diviners, use divination, prudent soothsayer, to practice divination, divine, of diviners of the nations, Balaam of the false prophets of Israel, prohibited. So soothsaying was prohibited. And when you go into the scriptures, as you see Deuteronomy 18 and 20, now when you understand why we were given these laws, these laws were given unto us to separate us from the customs of the Canaanites, and all of the rest of the ites, the Egyptians, who had very, very demonic customs. When you go into the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 12th chapter, it taps into some of the things that they were doing. And the law was given unto us to separate us from those customs and make us holy. The word holy means separate. Deuteronomy 18 and 10 says, there shall not be found any one that maketh his son and daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch. Verse 14, for these nations which thou shalt possess hearken unto observer of times and unto diviners, but as for thee, the Lord thy God have not suffered thee to do so. Then it goes into Balaam, the son of Beor. So soothsaying and diviners, go back to ancient practices. Even when you deal with an inauguration, as we just saw Esau, Edom inaugurate, dealing with Donald Trump and his cabinet, where you have inauguration. It says it's a ceremonial vesture with office, the act of solemnly or formally introducing or setting in motion anything of importance or dignity. consecration, installment under good omens. Okay. Inaugurate, take omens from the flight of birds, consecrate or install when omens are favorable. Inaugurate, to act as an augur. So you go to this word augur. All right, and I'm going to tie it all in just a minute. The ancient Romans functionary whose duty was to observe and interpret allspices or reputed natural signs concerning future events. So, on the left-hand side, they had the ability to tap into, ancient technology, all right, on the left-hand side, so that they can look into the future to a degree. Okay, now, augury, all right, divination from flight of birds. Augur, divination, soothsaying, sorcery, enchantment. Now, we know, pursuant to the Holy Scriptures, that the serpent in the garden, let's just get Genesis, the 3rd chapter. All right, before I get the video, I want to put these things, get these scriptures. So yeah, you have the practice of divination, as you can see here. The Bible forbids divination as a form of witchcraft and magic. Okay, it considers it as sin. Divination is the practice of communicating with the supernatural to gain knowledge of the future or past, and they're using their technology to do this. All right, and it's all going to make sense, because when you read the book of Revelation, the 12th chapter and the 12th verse, we always go into it. But you have to sit and mull on what this is actually saying. This is Revelation 12:12. It says, therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is coming down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. He knoweth that he hath but a short time. So what does that mean, that he knows he had a short time? Why does he know that? All right. What exactly has the Heavenly Father allowed this devil to see? All right. Now, some years ago, all right, we did this video. Brothers went into it. All right. This is dealing with CERN and how, they deal with the opening of portals, and they use their, colliders and, different, technologies that they've been blessed with on the left-hand side. Because you have to understand, when the scriptures say that this is the children of Satan and they come to do the bidding of Satan, okay, it's not by a small measure. They're deep into it. As the scriptures say, the heart is deep. But we did this video some time ago where there was a message from God that terrified the world rulers. As you can see, a message from God warning throws Western elites into absolute terror. Okay, and it goes into how ultimately CERN was messing around, and a particular wording popped up to them. All right, linking to the scriptures. All right, where the scriptures talk about many tekel, upharsin. All right, going to the Heavenly Father, numbering the kingdom of the ancient Neo-Babylonian Empire, and they had been found wanting, and ultimately their kingdom was getting ready to fall and be given into the hands of the Persians, all right, and the Medes. So the elites saw that, and it threw them into a frenzy, and they tried to cover it up. But there's, particular outlets that brought the information out. Okay. And going back here, give me 1 second here. When you get Genesis, the 3rd chapter, all right, in the 1st verse, it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the field which the Lord God had made. Okay. And the word serpent, nachash, serpent, snake, serpent. All right. And getting to the root word, nachash, to practice divination. Okay. To practice divination. Let's look up this word divination. Okay. And then we're going to tap into Project Looking Glass. Okay, the practice of seeking knowledge of the future or by supernatural means. fortune telling, okay, foretelling the future, forecasting the future, prophecy, left-handed prophecies, okay, magic, sorcery. So the serpent, who was a man, a nation of people, okay, who had a off philosophy, was known to practice divination, divine, learn by experience, all right, fortune telling, take as an omen, divination, okay, to whisper magic's spells, generally to prognosticate, okay, and this, knowledge that the serpent, possessed, after, the flood, pretty much we know the seed of Cain was drowned out. Okay, it was the Hamites who ultimately tapped into that ancient, philosophy and continued it into the planet Earth. This is why the Lord wanted us to destroy, all right, the Canaanites and the different ites and the 7 different nations who were in the Holy Land. When we were to go and possess it, he wanted us to destroy that nation because they possessed, all right, this particular wisdom. And it was passed down, all right, from kingdom to kingdom to kingdom by the elites of these different nations. And this was at the forefront of them, all right, continuing their power. You see, witchcraft, sorcery, dealing with left hand spirits and sorcery, man. Okay, so this is why when you go into the scriptures, okay, it refers to Esau, Edom as that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. That old serpent called the devil and Satan links to the biblical Edomites who would rule this revival of Rome, because basically when you deal with Rome, okay, the Greco-Roman Empire, where did they go to get their gods and magic and wisdom? They went to Egypt. They went to Canaan. Okay, they went to the Babylonians. Okay, went to the Tower of Babel. They tapped into all of those different ways. As a matter of fact, which I'm not going to get too deep into this. You can look it all up on your own. But this is an article I found: the magic and demonology of Babylonia and Assyria. Which, when you deal with the Assyrian Babylonian Empire, at the time of Isaiah, Jeremiah, and so forth, the different prophets that were in these captivities, that was a resurgence, all right, of the ancient Tower of Babel. When the Lord scattered and broke up their plan, eventually, they lay dormant for a minute, but eventually there was a resurgence of that magic and everything under the Neo-Assyrian Babylonian Empire, because those territories, Assyria, Babylon, Nineveh, which was the capital of Assyria, that was all established by Nimrod, which was a Cushite, him and his people. But the Assyrians, who ruled the Neo-Assyrian Babylonian Empire, they tapped back into all of that magic. Okay, and the Egyptians tapped into it, different spells and incantations and all of that evil. Now, let's see here. Let me just get here. All right, it says that Chaldean. Now, when you deal with the Chaldeans, as America is known as the daughter of Chaldean, okay, those were the witches and warlocks of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. They dealt with all of that magic, soothsaying, the divination, and all of that. And today, it's the elites. It says that Chaldean magic was the precursor of European medieval magic as a part from popular sorcery and witchcraft, all right, is instanced not only by the similarity between the system, but by the introduction into medieval magic of the names of Babylonian and Assyrian gods and magicians. Again and again, as Babylon appealed even more frequently than Egypt. Okay? And we meet constantly with the names of Beelzebub, Ishtar, All right, Asarte, Baal, Moloch, all of that stuff is here being practiced here today. Okay, all of these different gods and goddesses, all right, reign supreme in this world, and they dictate the behavior of the people, the practices, what they're into. Okay, case in point, abortions. Okay, that goes back to child sacrifice. Now it says, while the names of demons obviously of Babylonian origin are encountered in a most in every way work on the subject, frequent allusions are also made to the wise men and necromancers of Babylon and to the stargazers of Chaldea. Okay, now when you get Isaiah the 47th chapter, all right, which this is speaking of Babylon the Great, not ancient Babylon. This is speaking of the daughter of Babylon. Okay, because again, in the scriptures you have Babel, which Nimrod, then you have the Neo-Assyrian Babylonian Empire, the Assyrians, Nebuchadnezzar, Sargon, different rulers. And then you have Babylon the Great, which is where we are. So it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. And when you go down, okay, it lets you know, stand now, verse 12, with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, which thou hast labored with from thy youth. If so, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou may be able to prevail. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers, stargazers, and monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from the things that shall come upon thee. So taking that mindset, we're going to go to this interview because, again, the scriptures say that Esau, Edom, the devil, knows that he has but a short time. So what we're going to do, all right, with, that little backdrop, I like to start my videos giving a little backdrop because we could have just jumped right into the interview. But knowing, that little pieces of information, which you could go deeper into it. Let's listen to this. All right. Project Looking Glass. We know that in ancient times, looking glass, particular stones were used for the purpose of, it was ancient technology. They had technology in the ancient world. Even, on the right-hand side, the priest had the Urim and the Thummim, which gave them insight, all right, to understanding, the prophecies and what they should do. Should they go this way? Should they not fight this war? All right, the Heavenly Father dealt with the high priest and the priesthood. Well, on the left-hand side, you have that very same setup, but it's by means of evil and wickedness that they do these things. Okay, and there's so much information, but when you can look up Project Looking Glass, all right, the plans of the secret government on time machines and Stargate devices. Now, we just showed you in the scriptures that these different nations tapped into that, right? We were told to stay away from that. So how much more in these times with the blessing of, technology and wisdom and monetary means that these devils have, that they would be able to do it in this time. Tap into the future, because if he knows that he has about a short time, that means he's been open to something, just like we showed you in this video, which I'm not going to play it, but look it up. I did it 3 years ago. Message from God terrifies the world's rulers. All right. And when you deal with CERN, okay, I think this happened around 2000, maybe 17. All right, but you can see clearly CERN is the 6. You see it's 5 6s in this logo from what I see, but you have CERN, okay, which these devils are trying to figure out a way, all right, to redo the story and get out of the judgment that's written for them. Because not only are they hearing the prophets, but the Lord has given them insight. Let's listen to their judgment. Looking Glass.
All these people, getting them out in the open. But first we're going to learn just a little bit about Bill Wood, who he says he is, so you at least see that.
Basically, my military career was such that I was in the United States Navy.
Now, the scriptures tell you their own tongues are going to fall on themselves. And when you go back, it gives you, certain other histories. But I started at this point because I felt like his interview was the best. And he went into more. But I'm going to put the link in, in the description. If you don't see it, just put it on the comment board because I may forget, it's pretty late.
From June of 1991 until June of 2001. In that time, I served in a special unit called SEAL Team 9. We were trained primarily to use us as an asset to control and handle Tomahawk missiles, cruise missiles, that were used inside the Persian Gulf region in the Middle East throughout the time frame of 1992 to 2000, to my knowledge.
All right, so that's just a little background on who he is, what his military experience was. But now he's going to talk about, in this next clip, about how he was contacted by some white hat ex-military people, a secret group, classified, who needed his help with Project Looking Glass. So that's what's in this clip.
Shortly after I began doing that, I was contacted by a group of people that were also doing the exact same thing, and were much more aware of who I was and what my experience in the military was on a top secret level. I was very surprised by that. But I learned very quickly that there's people out there with a huge amount of information that are fighting for the good guys.
All right, and then you have Project Looking Glass. You can just look up Looking Glass. In ancient world, mirrors or looking glass, they talk about the black mirror on the phones that we use, going back to ancient, wisdom and, witchcraft, and pretty much the phone it acts as a medium, a mediator to, bring you over into, different. And this is why the beauty of the elect is there's no enchantment, against us, but there's witchcraft, and a war being waged on us, even when we don't know. But when you, the black screen on the phone, how that, that taps into some ancient wisdom. I'm pretty sure one of you brothers and sisters know about it. If you know anything about it, you can put a little bit on the comment board. It says, were used for a variety of purposes, including decoration, personal grooming, and to gain insight, all right, into self, all right. But as you can see here, it says also predicting the future. The Aztecs, all right, which were Israelites, okay, who had left the Assyrian Empire, all right, they had left the Assyrian Empire and came over to the Americas, and they tapped into all of that magic. They were supposed to come over here and keep the laws, but what did they do? They came over here and got into all manner of witchcraft, all right, that they learned in the Assyrian Empire. The Aztec used mirrors to predict the future, okay? We have the Egyptians. Let's see here. Let's see. Divination. So you can look, the information up. It's a bunch of information. Yeah, the obsidian mirror. Project Looking Glass. This was an actual, thing. Esau got a lot going on, all right? And don't get too far, and down a rabbit hole, because there's a lot of madness out there. But this is a guy that was actually involved in it. And this is a program that they stopped because basically the Lord opened them up to what's coming for them, okay?
Okay, so in essence, you were contacted by a group of what we call white hats.
White hats, I call them oath keepers, but essentially they're the patriots that our government would classify as terrorists.
Okay. But they are ex-military by and large, and some of them are still in the military.
I would assume a large number are still in the military or the government, in the FBI, Secret Service, CIA,
Alphabet agents.
any alphabet agents.
And she was heavy into trying to find, I forget her name, but she was heavy into trying to figure this out, you know, and do research on it. She interviewed a lot of people who were involved with it.
There's got to be a percentage of people that are seeing the day-to-day and going, this is wrong, we got to do something. One of the caveats that I do have some personal information that I did get personally involved in was some information that had to do with the Stargates and Looking Glass, and more specifically the 2012 problem with those projects.
The Stargates and Looking Glass.
I guess, popular opinion of what's out there right now is that the project was shut down because there was a problem when we approached 2012. I've heard it described a number of ways, but to my knowledge, the problem is that the timelines converge on that point in time. And when you know enough about the Stargate projects and the Looking Glass project to know that how string theory works and how the possibility of possibilities works and how making one choice over here doesn't necessarily mean that the other choice couldn't exist at the same time. But once you get your brain wrapped around this subject, you find out that at the end of 2012, in an easy way to put it, the choices that we make become less and less consequential to the future. And eventually we're pushed into this bottleneck of time, no matter which choice we make. And that's important to the people that had access to Looking Glass because they would use Looking Glass knowing the choices that they would make and the future would pop up. The big mistake was coming up with the possibility of future. And when we started using a computer to say, well, if we make this choice, it's 79% possible that this scenario happens, and 23% are possible, or whatever, using round numbers, that this scenario would happen. The understanding at the time was that was realistic. However, if you go down the road further and...
As he keeps talking, there's so many scriptures that's about to come to you brothers' heads.
free will continues to exercise itself on this game, that 79% possibility sometimes changes very, very fast. But if you look at the situation in a point of time, it seems very realistic that that's the greatest possibility. What happened was people, very smart people, began to figure out that something big was coming up. Something that made it so all the possibilities of all the future scenarios of any choice, any possibility that was fed in and observed through the Looking Glass inherently ended up in the same future. And no decision, no possibility changed past a certain point. That's the big secret.
Okay, so is that certain 2020?
All right, so just to recap what we just saw, Bill expresses here that as he worked on this project and found out what had been done on it and started to get involved with it, he realized and saw that they had been running probabilities into the future for a while with this thing, and they kept finding that after 2012, every possibility they fed in would always end up at the same event in the future from 2012. So as they would run these different scenarios time and time again, if they went past 2012, they would always converge in an event, some big happening that everything then coalesced into, and that no decision that was made prior to that point was going to change anything about that point in time. Now, he doesn't mention what point in time that is. I have thoughts on that I'm going to share at the end of this video, but just to kind of recap what he said there. And then next he's going to talk about how this singularity, this convergence of history that was coming up in the future from when they were using the device, and he's talking about, I think this interview was in about 2009, and he had been working on the project, I think in the very late 90s is when he said earlier in this video that I didn't show that he had been working on the project. So,
because they went and got these, these different, Stargate devices from
the instructions. After building the equipment from the instructions, they began to tweak it and find different things out about it. One of the things that they found is that they could actually use it as a peering portal, like a peering glass, if you will, to see different aspects of not only the future but the past.
Are these Sumerian? Sumerian?
I would say that they slightly predate Sumerian time frame, but that some of the information which came down from cylinder seals that slightly predated the Sumerian time frame were then recopied in Sumerian seals as well. And those cylinder seals, oh yes, and those cylinder seals, to the best of my knowledge, have all been obtained.
From Iraq?
Some of them from Iraq, yes.
Some of them from
Some of
Egypt?
some of them from Egypt, some of them from other countries where they were being stored.
And
I really don't want to get my country into too many problems here.
and you got, go ahead.
For a second, it's
All right, so he explained there that the initial plans for the Project Looking Glass came from Sumerian or Mesopotamian cylinder seals that had been found by various governments, and then equipment put.
Ancient Babylon, Babel, Nimrod, Tower of Babel, that's Sumeria. All right, Iraq is in that same area.
Together based on those plans. And now here's another clip where he's explaining a little bit about the location of the stargates or portals, as he calls them, related to Project Looking Glass and what has happened to them over the time.
Well, we had Looking Glass technology and portal, actual Stargate technology in Iraq as late as the start of 2003. And a lot of countries didn't want us to enter Iraq. We did, though, didn't we?
Right. But how is it that, in other words, it sounds
Omar
like...
just handed his two over. We just told him that we were going to make him rich beyond avarice. And he was a little smarter than Saddam, that's all. And so what he did is he handed them over and says, "Oh, please come into my country." He says, look at my equipment to make sure that I'm not making any weapons of mass destruction. Meanwhile, out the back door goes the two that Saddam actually had transferred over to him.
Cylinders.
Equipment. Stargate. Activating technology. Yeah, for them to experiment with. They were experimenting.
But if,
and they tapped into it, using the different technologies that they have. And Esau's doing this every day. When the scriptures say the heart is deep, he has the time. All right, he's used time as a weapon. He has you in a rat race, but he's doing stuff like this. Okay, this man is something else, man. But let's just keep listening.
Let's listen to what he says about how the elites felt. The elites in the world got wind of what was going on and how they felt about it.
It well coincides with December 21st, 2012.
so at that point, all possibilities lead to the same Rubicon.
All possible timelines lead to the same basic set of history in the future.
And what is that history? Did you know that, or did you find that out?
That is the big question. That is the big secret.
The end of their world. It's written, all right, in the Holy Scriptures. Now let's read this again. Isaiah 47 and 13. All right, well, 12. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so, thou shalt be able to profit. If so, thou mayest be able to prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. See, let now the astrologers and the stargazers and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble, and fire shall burn them. They shall be as stubble. Okay. Obadiah, verse 18. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. That's the throne of David, all 12 tribes uniting. And the house of Esau for a stubble, for they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Lord hath spoken it. So when they looked into the future, they had to have seen their end. But there's more. Let's keep listening to him. Because again, if the devil knows that he has but a short time, right? Okay, of course we know the prophets are out there, but again, with this technology and the different powers that they have, you don't think that Esau's wicked ass has tapped into this? If the Heavenly Father allowed CERN, right, to get this terrifying message that frightened them, okay? As you go here, just to read a little bit of it, it says, and to the message of God delivered to the Bilderberg Group barely a fortnight ago by CERN Director General Fabiola Gionati, that caused such terror among these Western master rulers, this report concludes was an image produced by a large hadron collider, LHC, that formed a single word in the ancient Hebrew language, thachal, pronounced as tekel, and basically means you have been weighed on the scales and found deficient. Now, this was going back, we'll go right back to the interview, but this, you can find this in the book of Daniel, the 5th chapter, right? Basically, at the very end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire's kingdom, you know, they were partying and you know, getting down, using our utensils that they stole out of the temple, right? And basically, there was a hand that showed up and wrote something on the wall, and only Daniel got the understanding on what it meant. And it says, and this is the writing, many tekel upharsin, all right? And this is the interpretation. Many, God have numbered thy kingdom and finished it. Numbered thy kingdom, okay? Tekel, thou art weighed in the balances and are found wanting. Thou art weighed in the balances and found wanting, man. Meaning you're lacking. Ultimately, you're getting ready to fall. You lack righteousness, okay? NLT says what? Tekel means weighed. You have been weighed on the balances and have not measured up. And thy kingdom was eventually divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. All right, this is the fall of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. And the next beast, all right, was the Medes and the Persians. Then the Greeks, then the Romans, right? But again, the Lord allowed them to see, all right, this Hebrew writing, the call. Okay. All right. So your kingdom has been weighed in the balance and you've been found wanting, deficient. You're getting ready to fall. So imagine how these devils look when they saw that. Right. So this is not the only technology they have where they're trying to tap into this. He's tapping into other technologies.
That is what sends everybody that has all of the information, that knows everything, into a blind panic. The people that know everything about Looking Glass, that have gotten all the reports and all the information, the elites of the world, probably figured out that that was the end of the game. And nothing could be manipulated beyond that point.
So I'm just going to let it continue here. He continues talking about contracting timelines and what that means. So I may play through a few clips here in a row.
They cannot go beyond a certain point.
At a certain point, after they're done hearing the computer tell them, this is what's going to happen over and over and over and over again, all they become focused on is, how do we fix it?
How do we fix it? Because what's the scripture say? Bounds. Book of Job 14:5. Seeing his days are determined, the number of his months are with thee. Thou have appointed his bounds that he cannot pass. Okay. NLT. You have decided the length of our lives. You know how many months we live. We are not given a minute longer. And this goes for kingdoms as well. Because when you read prophecy, okay, the kingdoms are given their measure. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's get the book of, what am I thinking of? The book of 2nd Esdras, the 4th chapter. 2nd Esdras 4 and 37. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times, and he doth not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. And see, Babylon's measure is just about filled. And as they're tapping into this technology, they keep seeing a particular outcome that they're not able to change. They're throwing all kind of stuff in the algorithm, trying to figure out, is there a way to stop it? All right, but they keep seeing the same outcome. What is that outcome? Possibly they saw themselves enslaved. The burning of Babylon, the chariots returning. Why do you think they're establishing a space force? Okay? Think about that. They established, okay, the sixth Space Force. Why do you think they established a Space Force? The sixth military branch. Six, that number six. Call halal Yahweh Shema Shah for victory over the beast, his image, and his mark. But the United States established the sixth branch of their U.S. Armed Forces. Okay, how do they know to get a Space Force? Now we know it's going to be used to wage war on the people as well, but Second Esdras, the 13th chapter, tells you, let's get it. When the Lord returns, Second Esdras 13 and 29. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that dwell upon the earth, and shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. They're going to be astonished when they see the coming of the Lord. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, one realm against another. It's going to be total chaos. At that time, all right, shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs which shall happen, which I showed thee before, then shall my son be declared, who thou saw as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have against one another, and an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as thou sawest them, willing to come and overcome him by fighting. See, so they're going to fight against the second coming of the Lord. I mean, Revelation, the 12th chapter, okay, talks about that war in heaven. Revelation 12 and 7, there was war in heaven, Michael and his angels, okay, and of course this is headed by Yahweh Shai, because when Yahweh Shai returns, pursuing the Revelation, the 19th chapter, right, Revelation 19 and 14, and the armies which followed, which were in heaven, followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. And out of his mouth goeth a sharp sword, that with it he should smite the nations, and he shall rule over them with a rod of iron. And he's going to share that authority with his men, but there's going to be a band of angels with him when he returns. Remember, the Most High God, Yahweh, is the Lord of hosts. Okay, Lord of hosts. Okay, when you look up the Lord of hosts, okay, we always talk about the Lord of hosts. The word host is tazabah, that which goes forth, army, warfare, host, army, okay, host of angels. So when Yahweh Shah returns, there's going to be a war in the heavens. This is not talking about something going on in the spiritual realm. This is talking about in the sky. Okay? There was war in heaven. Michael and his angels, okay, fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought against his angels. Now, it's interesting that Elon Musk had this the SpaceX Dragon is a spacecraft developed by Elon Musk. The Dragon is a family of spacecraft that includes Dragon 1, Dragon 2, Crew Dragon, cargo, you know. So they're preparing war against the Lord. But how do they know to prepare? Well, maybe they've been given insight to something. Just keep listening.
Why? What is this that's going to happen?
The
You know that?
inevitable contraction of the timelines.
But what does that mean for this reality? Do you know that?
I don't know that. What I do know is that I was called in and asked to solve this problem.
So she's asking them, what exactly did they see? He said he doesn't know, but he was called in to help solve the problem. Let's keep listening. This is interesting, man.
This timeline contraction problem. And I eventually did my due diligence and did all the investigating and basically only had one piece of information, and that was reinforcement. The computer's right. The timelines will contract down to some inevitable thing that you guys won't tell me about, so I can't help you. There is an inevitable event. It's been forecast, it's been predicted, it's been fed to us in a slop trough of what they want us to believe will happen.
But they don't
However,
know.
they don't actually have control over what happens. They only have control over the reaction, and it seems that no matter what they try to do to cause their desired reaction, it's going to have an opposite effect.
There you go. This is the book of Isaiah. Let's get Isaiah 44 and 25. Man, this is a beautiful chapter. It says, Isaiah 44 and 25, that frustrated the tokens of the liars and maketh diviners mad and turneth wise men backwards and maketh their knowledge foolish. Okay, he maketh diviners mad. Okay. Exodus 9 and 11, and the magicians could not stand before Moses because of the boils, for the boils was upon the magicians, upon the magicians, and upon the Egyptians. Those magicians go back to the witches and warlocks of ancient Egypt, and they're back today. But this particular kingdom has more power than any of those ancient kingdoms. They have more insight than any of those ancient wicked priests. Okay? So you had those astrologers and magicians in these different kingdoms. Daniel 4 and 7. Then came the magicians and the astrologers of the Chaldeans and the soothsayers, and I told the dream before them. All right, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof, because Daniel was wiser, but in righteousness than those different magicians and astrologers from the Neo-Babylonian Empire, the Chaldeans. He was going in, and this is why the scriptures say he's become wiser than Daniel in prophecy. All right, and Ezekiel the 28th chapter symbolize Esau is symbolized with, the prince of Tyrus. And the reason Esau, as it says, has become wiser than Daniel is because he's been able to tap in on the left-hand side to see particular future events. Okay? This is crazy, right? So, oh yeah. Let's type in divination, ancient Egypt. Divination in ancient Egypt was a way to communicate with the divine, manipulate faith, and make predictions. It was often performed using tools like cups, lots, oracles, or by observing animals. Okay, so when you get Isaiah the 19th chapter, let's see here. Isaiah 19 and 11. Surely the princes of Zoan are fools. The counsel of the wise counsels of Pharaoh has become brutish. And you could clearly see these Edomites, because that's who this is talking about. But is coding them under the terms used with ancient Egypt. Zoan is where the witches and warlocks would meet. That can be likened to some, what's that? The World Economic Forum. They got all kind of meetings, where they meet and do sacrifices and call on their gods. The counsel of the wise counsels of Pharaoh has become brutish. Look at what they're throwing out there. Look at their plan, their technology. Why are they moving so fast to establish this? What are they scared of? How say ye unto Pharaoh, I am the son of the wise, the son of ancient kings, because they're tapping into that ancient wisdom. Where are they? Where are thy wise men? Let them tell thee now, and let them know what the Lord of hosts hath proposed upon Egypt. Are they going to tell the truth of what they know is coming to this modern day Egypt? Let's read this in the NLT. I was going to do this tomorrow, but I'm like, nah, I got to do this today. And shout out to the brother Yazra. Damn, I wish I had the video up. Him and some brothers went into it yesterday. Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what God plans, what the Lord of heaven's army is going to do to Egypt. And see, they got a little insight. This is why they're moving with such fervency.
Now, it's much, much easier for me to explain today what that process is as opposed to back then. But if I had to give it a name, I would say it's the awakening process. It's an evolution of consciousness that cannot, will not, and no matter what decisions or possibilities are injected into the equation, eventually it all resolves down to us all learning the truth and becoming aware of this massive dam of lies that has been built.
Learning the truth. Let's get the book of 2nd Esdras 6. An awakening. They talked about how an awakening is eventually going to happen, that they cannot stop. See that? 2nd Esdras chapter 6. And 28. 27, for evil shall be put out, deceit shall be quenched, as for faith it shall flourish, corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which had been so long without fruit shall be declared. That will come through the great awakening of the Israelites. But before the Lord returns, there is prophesied to be a great awakening of the Israelites in Ezekiel 37 chapter, Isaiah the 44th chapter. Okay? And they've tried everything in their power to poison us, the bad rap music, financing, just thug culture, ghetto culture, all the gang culture, you know, what they're putting in the foods. They've tried everything. Okay, and as the scriptures say, we will be set in order. Psalms 50 and 21. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. Okay? This is why he's going to come after the woman. The dragon is going to come after the woman. The great awakening, as a matter of fact, Revelation 11. Okay? Because these devils were able to sit on a high horse as long as we were in that dead state. See, Revelation 11 and 8, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. So the same magic and things that the Egyptians, the ancient Babylon, because where did Egypt get their gods from? Ancient Babel. Right? So again, if they got all of that magic back then, and this is the mother of all harlots, you don't think that in this spiritual Sodom and Egypt, they're tapping into the same thing? See, again, Revelation, the 13th chapter and the 14th verse, and he deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. See? So he would be doing miracles. He would have power to do miracles. His technology would be, all right, bar none. It would be crazy what they had the ability to do. But it's ultimately to their own demise. See that? So their dead bodies lie in the street of the great city, which is Babylon and Great, which is spiritually called Sodom and Egypt. But as you keep going, after a certain time, 3 days and a half, the 350-year period, from 1619 to the 60s, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood up on their feet, and great fear fell on them which saw them. And now knowledge is increasing. Let's get that in Daniel, the 2nd chapter. We're in the information age. And Esau's lies are being swallowed up. His pseudoscience. Because remember, the man of sin would prosper by pseudoscience, lies. Okay, Daniel chapter 12 and 4. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words and seal the book until the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. See, knowledge would be increased in the latter days, at the end, where all of these things will start to come to pass, man. The word knowledge, dayath, all right? Knowledge, perception, skill. And the word knowledge just means to know, okay? But see, you need wisdom to be able to apply that knowledge. There's many people who know things. Remember Brother Polite, he knew things, but he didn't have any wisdom. Discernment, understanding, wisdom. So now people are putting things together and he's being exposed. Remember, the man of sin would be revealed before the end came. Okay? 2 Thessalonians 2 and 3, let no man deceive you by any means, but that day shall not come except there become a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Who's this talking about? The Antichrist. No, it's talking about the Edomites, man. The elites of Esau, Edom.
That keep us from knowing massive volume of information that we should otherwise possess.
Now, I want you to think about this for a minute, because what he said is key. And when I come full circle on this thing at the end of this video, I'm going to talk about it more. But just note that he said that this event that all of history is culminating towards, he even calls it an awakening. And if you are familiar with or have followed at all the Q phenomenon, the QAnon posts on, first 4chan, then now 8chan, then you may be aware of this term, the Great Awakening, which I myself and many others contend is occurring right now, is in progress, and is going to get just huge as this year progresses and as time progresses. But that's what he's talking about. And he even said it, he talks about it in a couple ways. He talks in one way as if it's an enlightenment, like a consciousness raising, but he also says that it's just a revealing of the truth, right? It's understanding that there's been a dam of lies built up over the centuries, and this awakening is people coming to the knowledge of the truth.
All right, the covering cast. Okay. Isaiah 25 and 7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations, man. There's a cast covering, man, and he will swallow up death and victory. Okay, and that covering cast over all of the nations, believing that they're actually Chinese, black, white, Jamaican, Tongan, all of the terms he's put on the nations, the lies, the false history, the false narrative, the IQ, the pseudoscience. Again, remember, this man, okay, 2 Thessalonians 2 and 8, and then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power, signs, and lying wonders. So the term for lying wonders is pseudos. He's ultimately, real quick, Revelation 20. Damn. Let's get Revelation 20 and 7. And when 1,000 years are expired, the 1,000 years leading to the Renaissance period, because for 1,000-year period, Esau, Edom was downtrodden, looked down upon, chased into the caves. Okay, he was in servitude. He was looked at as a thief. He was the nigger of his day, of that time. And dark people ruled. Okay? And after that 1,000-year period, the Western Roman Empire revived itself. So when 1,000 years are expired, Satan, or the children of Satan, because we just read here, this man would come to do the bidding of Satan with all what? Signs, and lying wonders, pseudos, lies, a conscious and intentional falsehood in a broad sense, whatever is not what it seems to be, perverse, impious, deceitful precepts. So, this man will come to do the bidding of Satan and lie on everything. Revelation 20:7. And when 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison. Okay? And shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four corners of the earth. And it's going to lead to Gog and Magog to gather them together to battle. This is speaking of things that happen on earth. But there is a nation of people associated with Satan. The word Satan means what? Adversary. To be opposed. This man, Esau, Edom, is opposed to righteousness. So they're when they looked into that divination machine, that looking glass, they saw a great awakening. They most likely saw the end of their world. As a matter of fact, keep listening.
And that nothing can stop it. And that is what the elite saw when they looked in the Project Looking Glass and used the machine to run their probabilities. They saw this and were so afraid they couldn't even believe it. So they couldn't deal with it. So this is what scares them, and this is why, they had been using this project again and again to try to see if there's some way to change that probability, but they couldn't do it. It's not going to change. And Bill is going to explain even more of that as we continue here.
That they would lose control.
Because that information was a monumental concern when I was in the military about how to prevent this inevitability. Now, at first I thought it was end of the world. Now I see end of the world is end of their world.
End of their world. Not the end of the world. See, they try to present to you this notion that the end of the world is associated with everything just blowing up. No. Okay. What happens is this. Sirach 10:8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom shall be translated from one people to another. That's what's going to happen. All right. The end of your world. Second Ezra 6:25, earlier in that chapter, Esau is the end of the world, right? Whosoever remaineth from all of these that I have told thee shall escape and see my salvation and the end of your world. Whose world? Esau's world. Okay? Lamentations 4:21. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwelleth in the land of Uz. Okay, this is the modern day land of Uz. The cup shall also pass through unto thee, and thou shalt be drunken, and shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. So again, we know our captivity didn't end after the Neo-Babylonian Empire, where, the book of Lamentations was written. So why is Jeremiah linking Esau's as the end of our captivity? Because it will be ended through the daughter of Babylon, which will be controlled by the biblical Edomites. Okay, as a matter of fact, let's get Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. They helped the Neo-Babylonian Empire, all right, catch us, destroy us, help destroy our temple, burn down certain parts of it. They would be in complete demons. As the scriptures say, you broke the brotherly covenant. Boom. Amos 1:9. And thus said the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Tyrus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom. And that's talking about those Hamites. Okay, the original inhabitants of Tyre and Zidon. Okay, they along with the Arabs, all right, sold us to the Edomites. It says, and that's the sub-Saharan slave trade, it says, because they delivered up the whole captivity to Edom, and remembered not the brotherly covenant. Okay, verse 11, and thus saith the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did tear perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. But I will send a fire upon Teman, which shall devour the palaces of Basra. That's all speaking to you Edomites. And there's punishment for the other nations, but you're going to get it the worst. Okay? Psalms 137:7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stone. So they saw this. They looked into the future and saw this. Most likely. Now, do I have 100% proof? No, but why do they know they have a short time? How do they know? What did they tap into? Why are they moving so fervent? What's going on with these people? What's up with Esau?
Yeah, note that he said that, that the elites felt like it's the end of the world, but it's really the end of the charade that they've been playing on the people of Earth for centuries. And it's the revealing of truth that has been hidden for my whole lifetime, probably for many lifetimes. So that is what they're seeing through the project there. Now, this part that I'm about to play for you is probably one of the most significant ones for me as a Christian to hear, because he talks about, well, I'll just play it, but he gets into some kind of almost eschatological type of discussion without even mentioning God, but you'll see what he says here.
Any attempts to try to go away from this one inevitable conclusion, I again see as a new beginning, an end of this reality, the beginning of something that we can't even possibly understand based on the level.
I mean, he's literally quoting the scriptures and don't even know it. Now, that so-called Christian doing that commentary, he don't know. They don't associate the end of Esau's world with the beginning of the kingdom of heaven. But we, as Israelites, we know. 2 Esdras 6 and 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, and both of them were blessed. Okay? For Esau was the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. 2 Esdras 6 GNT. Second Esdras, the brother. Elder brother. 2 Esdras 6 GNT. 2 Esdras 6 and 9. Esau represents the end of this age, and Jacob represents the beginning of the new age. Woo! Goodness gracious. Second Esdras chapter 13, this is in the GNT, and 25. This is the meaning of the vision. The man you saw coming up out of the sea, which the water, the Shemayim, represents the heavens or water as well. It says, represents the one whom God, whom God Most High has kept ready for many ages. He will free the world he created and establish the new world for those who survive. See that? The Israelites. He's going to rebuke. All right, verse 38. Verse 37. Then my son will condemn the assembled nations for their godlessness. That is what the storm meant. He will confront them with the wicked plans they have made, also with the torments they must endure. The chip is a part of that. These people are crazy.
Of our beliefs currently. But when all that information comes flooding out, there's going to be no denying what's true and what's a lie or what's illusion. We won't have the choice to believe that 9/11 happened because of a bunch of terrorists, because we'll know exactly what's happened. Basically, what
There is nothing hidden. Everything will come out. Oh man, there's nothing hidden. What was it? Revealed. Boom. Matthew 10 and 26, fear them not therefore, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. Luke 12 and 2, for there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, neither hid that shall not be known. Woo! That's out of the mouth of the Messiah. Luke 8 and 17, for nothing in secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known. So they've been able to, forward themselves based upon lies, man. Ecclesiastes 12 and 14, for God shall bring every work into judgment, and with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So the Lord will reveal everything. Romans 2 and 16, in the day when God shall judge the secrets of men by Yahweh Shai, according to my gospel, according to the gospel we got. This is where the judgment is going to come through, because we're testifying.
we're experiencing right now is two master chess players sitting at the board. And one of them looks down at the board and sees that he's in checkmate in 7 moves. And he looks across at his opponent, and he knows that his opponent sees it too. So there's no getting out of it. So at this point, the loser can only prolong the game. The game, both players know the game is over. It's only a matter of time before he does this, and then you're forced to do this, and then he's forced to do this, and eventually checkmate. We, as a race, if we can understand that the game is over, that based on the rules of the game, the bad guys have already lost, the good guys have already won. Yes, there's moves left on the table, but
let's get Romans 9. Romans 9 and 11. Romans 9 and 10. And not only this, but when Rebekah also had conceived by one, even our father Isaac, for the children not being yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but him that calleth. NLT. Before they were born, before they had done good or bad, she received a message from God. This message shows that God chooses people according to his own purposes, right? It was said unto her, the elder shall serve the younger, as it is written, Jacob have I loved, but Esau have I hated. See? So the elder, which was Esau, is going to serve the younger, right? He's going to be in captivity under, he's going to be ruled over by the younger, which is Jacob. That was already written. See, the game is fixed. Okay? Isaiah 46 and 10, declaring the end. Okay, start at 46 and 9. Remember the former things of old, for I am God and there is none else. I am God and there is none like me. All right? Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, I will do all my pleasure. See that? Even the king's heart is in the hands of the Lord. See that? So the end was already declared from the beginning. His counsel is going to stand no matter what. Okay? Let's see here. Man. Let's get this in the NLT. Isaiah 41. It's cold. Oh, man. It's 21. Present the case for your idols, says the Lord. Let them show what they can do, says the King of Israel. Let them try to tell us what happened long ago so that we may consider the evidence, or let them tell us what the future holds so that we can know what's going to happen. Why ain't they coming out with what they saw? Yes, tell us what will occur in the days ahead. Then we will know you are gods. In fact, do anything, good or bad. Do something that will amaze or frighten us. But know you are less than nothing and can do nothing at all. Those who choose you pollute themselves, man. Wow.
Those moves are being forced by the player that is going to win. The only way the checkmate can't happen is if the player that's winning makes a mistake. But from all the information that I've gathered, all of the information that's been given, all of the information that's been vetted to me, it seems pretty obvious that the good guy player on the side of the chessboard knows exactly what has to be done to win the game. And so at this point, any mistake would be all but impossible.
All right, now just, to recap that, but to just make a statement and say, man, that to me sounds just like God and Satan. And this is the final chess game, according to what he's saying. And they're playing it out, but like he says, the bad guy, Satan, doesn't have any moves he can make that will change the outcome. And that's what this Project Looking Glass is all about, is the elites using it to find out about that outcome, and they're freaking out. And they shut down the project because they couldn't see anything past that timeline convergence that God is masterminding. God is bringing all things to a logical conclusion, to his will. And so truth will be revealed by his power. And these two chess players are battling it out, but there's no move that's going to change the end of the game. And the good guy, as he says, God will win.
Jacob, yep, the Most High is going to have mercy on Jacob and yet choose Israel, under who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, Yahweh Shai. And they know it.
I was entrusted in getting it down to two possibilities. And I've heard both of those possibilities talked about in massive proportions, the good and the bad.
Okay, so can you, in one sentence, say what the good was and the bad was, or are you able to do that?
To most easily put it to people,
I suppose.
One scenario is what most people would understand to be ascension, or an evolution of consciousness, that brings us out of the cocoon and turns us into a butterfly. Timeline 2 is some kind of major global catastrophe that drives most of us underground and leaves a few of us on top to fend from.
Drives most of us underground. Listen to what he just said. Come on now. We too late in the game. Don't start this now. Hold up. Give me 1 second here. He said basically, some catastrophic event that drives us underground, which that's prophetic, right? We know that.
And 2 is some kind of major global catastrophe that drives most of us underground and leaves a few of us on top to fend for ourselves.
Let's get the book of Revelation. Goodness gracious. Is not he going in? This is Revelation 6 and 14. And heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. What's going to move the islands out of their places? It's Jeremiah 50 in the last verse. Okay, at the noise of the taking of Babylon as the earth moved, a cry is heard among the nations. Okay, Isaiah 24 says what? The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard and shall be removed like a cottage. It's going to be a complete, destruction of Babylon the Great. It's going to cause the earth to tremble, move. Okay, and that's ultimately when the kings of the earth are going to scurry into those bunkers. Okay? And this exactly links to Isaiah the 34th chapter, which exactly links to the Edomites. So Esau is definitely the end of the world when you go line up on line, precept on precept. Because what does it say? And heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together. That's the mushroom cloud from the destruction. And when you get Isaiah 34, right? And the host of heaven shall be dissolved, and all the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down, and as a leaf falleth from the vine, as a failing fig from the fig tree. Okay, Satan falling as lightning, man. Their kingdom falling, man. Destruction. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven, and shall come down upon Idumea, upon the people of my curse to judgment. Who's that? Who's Idumea? You want to NLT that thing? Let's see what that says. God damn. And when my sword has finished its work in the heavens, it will fall on Edom. Okay? The nation I have marked for destruction. See that? Because he go destroy your military might, your space force. Then he go destroy, then Babylon synonymously is going to be getting destroyed. And the chariots are going to finish the job off through fire. Edom. Isaiah 6:14. And when in heaven departed as a scroll when it is rolled together, and every mountain and island were moved out of their places. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman, and every freeman hid themselves in the dens of the rocks of the mountains, and said to the rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne. Okay, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For great is the day of his wrath, and who shall be able to stand? So here it is. All right. Elites. Underground bunkers. Billionaires are building luxury bunkers to escape doomsday. 300 million bunkers. How the elite will see out of the apocalypse world most luxurious bunkers. Billionaires are buying bunkers, buying islands. Are they prepping to escape the apocalypse? The super rich preppers are planning to save themselves from the apocalypse. They're freezing themselves. Okay? They're talking about they're going to wake up after everything's over. And these devils are losing it. Okay? You can't take it with the billionaires are freezing themselves for another chance at life. So these people are crazy. Why are billionaires freezing themselves, getting bunkers? What's going on with Esau? Well, now we know. They didn't see something. They got insight to something.
And I just want to interject here, too, that the elites for years have been planning for this contingency, this disaster. And you know this by the fact that they've been building underground bases, and the rich of the world have been building underground shelter homes. And if you do some research online, you will find this out, that they've been doing it for years because the elites, the money holders, the power controllers of the world, they have had access to this technology because of their power and influence. And they, seeing this disaster on the horizon or the possibility of it, they have essentially freaked out and started building underground to shelter themselves from this disaster. This is part of what the underground of the Denver airport is. It is a shelter for the elite of the world in case of a global disaster. A place where they can hide and stay safe while the rest are left to fend for themselves. And that's just how evil those people are. Let's continue on with the next clip here, the last clip of Bill Wood.
Can you explain why they have been hedging their bets to such a degree on the negative?
It's very simple. They're insane. And beyond insane, they have literally deluded themselves into believing that they can somehow manage to get away with what they're trying to get away with. There is a distinct lack of reality in that thinking.
And that's exactly what the elites of the world are, is deluded. And so that is the conclusion of Bill Wood's testimonies. Now, you've seen now the 3 whistleblowers that I'm aware of that have actually come out with Project Looking Glass information. And now you know more about Project Looking Glass than 99.999% of people on this planet. But I'm going to show you something else, because the elite, the majority of the elite are Satanists. And
all of them are. They're the children of Satan's. Sirach 16:13, the sinner shall not escape with the spoils, but the patient of the godly shall not be frustrated. All right, Psalms 104 and 29. No, 104 and 9. Thou hast set a bound that they may not pass over. All right, that they turn not again to cover the earth. Maybe it works. Psalms chapter 2 and 1. Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and all the rulers take counsel together against Yahweh and against his anointing, saying, let us break their bands asunder, and let us cast away their cords from us. Okay? Let us break their chains, they cry, and free ourselves from slavery to God. Wow.
they, in being Satanists, they not only are evil, but they also have a spiritual mandate, and it is something that is a law of spiritual, and that is that they must reveal their wicked plans in what they do to those to whom they are doing them. They must ask, in a sense, permission to tear your life apart, to keep you in captivity and bondage, to rule over you in every conceivable way. So,
well, the Lord gave them that power in prophecy. That's written in prophecy. It's just that they're at the very end of their blessing. So anyway, I mean, I'm going to put this in post-production. Hopefully you're edified. On to the next. Shalom.